Yep, we'll be live. Hello, everyone. I'm here with Roy. Hi, Roy.
Hi, Armin. How are you guys? How's everybody?
Good, good. Okay, so we have this is a video you recommended that we watch. You sent this to me.
Yes.
Tell me what is this video? What are we watching? We're watching Daniel Haqiqatjou,
Yeah,
who's a Muslim.
Haqiqatjou. How you say it? He gives us 10
Haqiqatjou.
Haqiqatjou. He gives us 10 points of why Israel should be afraid, scared,
Yes.
something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So let's. We might agree with some of his points. I don't know. We might disagree with some of his points. Some of his points are going to be ridiculous. Some of his points, out of 10, let's actually count out of 10. Like, let's give him a score out of 10. How many we agree with, and how many we disagree with, and how many are just like outright ridiculous and stupid,
Yeah.
right? So let's start from the beginning. But I see, people in the live chat are here. They're saying hello, people. Like, thank you so much for guys. Keep saying in the live chat that you're here, and also like the stream and tell other people that you like the stream, so they see and they feel shame, okay, and they feel guilty that they have not liked the stream. We need you guys. There's so much nonsense being spread around, religious nonsense, Islamic nonsense, anti-Semitic nonsense, and we are here. This channel is here to smack every single one of them, okay? Where we need your support for this channel to grow so that we could respond to all of the spread of all this nonsense, okay? So please go ahead and do that. And also, I'm going to keep an eye to see at what point we're going to get demonetized. We're still monetized right now, so we're good. But I'm going to keep an eye on it. Yeah, we're going to keep an eye on it, because I'm going to, if we keep checking at what point during the stream, based on what we say, we get demonetized, maybe we'll get an idea of how the YouTube gods work, right? So I don't know. We'll see. I'm gonna watch. Oh yeah, people are saying they like the stream. Thank you. All right, let's just get into it.
Yeah.
Let's go
Say hi
from the
to
beginning of
Roy.
this
Ata
video.
Israeli. Surely they're asking me if I'm Israeli, I think. Okay. Yes, I am.
Yes. Roy is Israeli, and he's from he. Are you okay, I'm not gonna ask you which city you're from.
Oh, Tel
Can
Aviv.
I ask
It's
you?
fine. Yeah, Tel
Oh,
Aviv.
Tel Aviv. You're in Tel Aviv.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, let's continue. Let's watch this.
Here are 10 reasons Israel should be very worried right now.
All right. It's a long intro.
Reason number 10 is demographics. Poll after poll show that younger generations are rabidly anti-Israel. In an Economist poll, half of 18 to 29-year-olds believe Israel is committing genocide against Palestinians. According to a recent Harvard-Harris poll, 51% of 18 to 24-year-olds think the best solution to the Israel-Palestine conflict is for Israel to be ended. A lot of Zionists are shocked by these results, but the explanation is pretty simple. Younger generations get their news from social media sources like TikTok, Twitter, and Snapchat, while the older boomer generation relies on mainstream news channels which have a heavy pro-Israel bias. This is why a bunch of Zionists have been freaking out, demanding that TikTok is banned. Basically, Zionists can't tolerate the existence of a platform that they can't overtly control. The upshot of all this is that Israel can expect a much greater uphill battle in getting Western populations to support its policies in the near future as these younger generations grow up. Reason number 9, Israel is extremely worried right now.
So what do you think about that first reason? What do you think?
Okay, I want to talk about the younger generation getting their news from social media. So my thoughts about that is that the social media is not balanced because you have 2 billion Muslims that pressure the algorithms to show you only one side, right? If you compare that to 15 million Jews around the world, so they don't get they get a biased news for every, I think, 200 news about that are against Israel. They see only one that is in favor. So it's overwhelmingly not biased. Biased. Sorry, it's overwhelmingly biased.
So yeah, and by the way, that's the same study that shows that more Americans are becoming denying the Holocaust. That's the same. The study that he cited is basically the same study. So he's basically celebrating the type of views that are he's saying that is increasing among young people. But that's the same study. So yeah, this is not good. Like, I don't know if he wants to admit, if he's celebrating the change in attitudes among young Westerners. The reason behind that is misinformation.
Yeah.
He's celebrating the spread of misinformation. Even if you wanted to, let's say, for example, if we wanted to be charitable to him, if we wanted to say, like, no, people are becoming more anti-Israel because they have access to, they're more informed, right? Well, is Haqiqatjou a Holocaust denier himself or not a Holocaust denier? Because it seems to be the base of the conclusion of, is grounded in the way of thinking that is anti-Semitic. So a lot of these anti-Zionist, anti-Israel people act like they're not anti-Semitic or they're not anti-Jewish, but you are celebrating a type of conclusion right now among young people that is founded in anti-Jewish hatred. And I can tell that, given that these are the same young people that are more likely now to be Holocaust deniers. Is that what you're celebrating, Daniel Haqiqatjou? Because he's right about the trend. I agree with the fact that the trend is what he says it is, but again, the trend is not a good trend. He's celebrating something evil.
Yeah.
And
I was going to say that he's right. It is a scary thing, but it's not a good thing.
It's not something to celebrate. Like, he's celebrating misinformation. He's celebrating Holocaust denial, and also anti-Semitic views, Jew hatred. If, for example, let's say we had a disagreement with, like, I support Israel, you support Israel. Let's say some other people supported Israel, were against Israel, but they were not anti-Jew, they were not anti-Semitic, they were not Holocaust denier. They had, like, the idea that Israel is doing many, many things wrong, right? That would be, if Daniel Haqiqatjou was supporting that, we would disagree with Daniel Haqiqatjou, but that would be easier to support. But he's outright supporting a form of anti-Israeli viewpoint that is grounded in hatred of Jewish people.
Yeah.
Which is really difficult. It's really difficult to understand why somebody would celebrate that unless they agree with it, which will make him anti-Jewish or anti-Semitic as well. I mean, would Daniel Haqiqatjou come live on air or anywhere on his videos and accept that he's a Holocaust denier? If he's not a Holocaust denier, this is either one of these two, right? He's either a Holocaust denier or he's not a Holocaust denier. If he's not a Holocaust denier, why is he celebrating the spread of misinformation among young people? If he is a Holocaust denier, well, then I rest my case. And, like, I don't even say much more about it. Yeah.
How much more?
Go.
How much more weight does it have when you say something critical of Israel, right? You personally.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. If not just Israel, but any country, right? For example, if you want to criticize the United States, somebody who celebrates the good things about the United States is going to be much more effective at criticizing the United States than somebody who just, like, has a blanket anti-US standpoint, like many, like, left-wing people. Same with Israel, same with Nigeria, same with South Africa, same with Japan, right? If you just have, like, if you are a racist Chinese person who just hates everything Japanese, I'm not going to take your criticism of Japan very seriously compared to somebody that, like, loves many things about Japan but also, like, has a criticism over a certain policy somewhere. That's why it's hard to take these people seriously. Their criticism of Israel, not that Israel doesn't have policies that are worth criticizing, it's just very hard to take these people serious. Oh, we have a new member. Thank you so much, Bala, for becoming a member. Appreciate that. Oh, which speaking of, let me see if we are no, we're still monetized. We're still monetized. Okay, so number 1 out of 10, and we're still monetized. So let's go to point number. Oh, before we go to point number 2, regarding TikTok, these people are celebrating TikTok. Based Islamically, that based on Islamic standards, the level of degeneracy, what they call degeneracy, that is on TikTok. Like, you guys should be the last to celebrate trends like TikTok. Do you know Yeah, okay, yeah, TikTok is spreading anti-Israeli hatred and anti-Semitic values, but it's also a lot of young girls dancing and showing off their skin and promoting, I don't know, promiscuity and all the things that you hate the most. I mean, you are promoting an app that you claim to be spreading the type of values that is taking down the foundations of what makes societies. So if Israel needs to be afraid of TikTok, you should be more afraid of TikTok, because TikTok stands against every single value that you guys hold dear. I don't know what you're talking about other than anti-Jewish. See, this is why I'm telling you, these people care about their anti-Jewish hatred more than all their other values. They're even willing to celebrate TikTok, even though TikTok is so against Islamic values. The values that are promoted on TikTok are so against Islamic values. But as long as it promotes anti-Jewish hatred and anti-Israeli views, like, yep, okay, never mind. We're willing to forget everything else, and now we're celebrating TikTok. Okay, go on, right?
Just a quick one to remind about the last episode. People can go watch it. We saw them celebrating a very viral video of the most lame cliche of a person who is suffering and vulnerable, and using this to convert him to Islam. Right? That's the most cliche thing you could do. And they celebrated it. It was very viral on TikTok.
Yeah. Again, standards be damned. If you hate, let's continue
now. Is international backlash. The entire
Okay, so this is reason number 9. Let's go back
this is that Israel can expect a much greater uphill battle in getting Western populations to support its policies in the near future.
Wait, is this the beginning of 9? Oh, let me actually read the title of this article. Lawmakers renew calls to ban TikTok after accusation of anti-Israel content. So he said that this is why Zionists want to ban TikTok, okay? But Zionists want to ban this is U.S. politician. I guess he calls everybody Zionist is a swear word for him, and I guess he's right. Everybody who does support Israel's right to existence is technically
Israel
a Zionist.
Controls everything, Armin.
Oh, Israel controls everything. So they are like, okay, that's what you're right. You're right. Puppets. But I don't understand. Like, Islamic countries also want to ban TikTok, and Daniel Haqiqatjou, you want to ban TikTok. You told us that under an Islamic government, things like TikTok or anything that spreads degeneracy should be banned. So what is this double standard? Like, oh, Zionists want to ban TikTok because they don't like to hear the truth. You want to ban TikTok. You because you don't like. Oh my God, I don't understand.
Now, demanding that TikTok is banned. Basically, Zionists can't tolerate the existence of a platform that they can't overtly control.
Islam is, you yourself, Daniel Haqiqatjou, has also said that under Islamic rule, these platforms will be banned. The spread of un-Islamic views will be banned. And you said under an Islamic state, the idea is that you want to have control over the spread of ideas that are anti-Islamic. You said that with just ban, with execution. Danny Haqiqatjou like, oh, how do these Zionists cannot tolerate the ideas that they don't like? Danny Haqiqatjou, you in your debates, with us, Danny Haqiqatjou in his debate on secular jihadists with me and Ali Rizvi argued for why under an Islamic state, ex-Muslims like me who are spreading anti-Islamic views should be executed.
Causing corruption over the land, Armin.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay, so Zionists don't like ideas that they can't control. Oh my God, the double standards, the hypocrisy. God damn.
But what with the Zionists? Why are they not saying Israelis or maybe the Jews? I know, but what with the Zionists?
Zionists just sound so dirty in Muslim ears. Yeah. Oh, we got a super chat. Okay, so let me actually check if we're still monetized, because I could Yeah, we're still monetized. All right, so EL saying, so when they say you are paid by the Jews, they will be right about something, even if it's Canadian and not NIS. Is that shekel? What is that NIS? Okay, well, thank you,
No,
EL.
NS is New Israeli Shekels.
Oh, new Israeli shekels. Okay,
Yeah.
okay. EL, well, thank you so much. Can somebody confirm that EL is a Jew, so we can claim that we are being funded by the Jews? Thank you so much, EL.
Yeah. Thank you, Eyal.
Thank you, EL.
The upshot of all this is that Israel can expect a much greater uphill battle in getting Western populations to support its policies in the near future as these younger generations grow up. Reason number 9 Israel is extremely worried right now is international backlash. The entire non-Western world has unified against Israel. If you go down the list of countries, pretty much every non-Western nation has made a condemnatory statement against Israel, and many of them have gone so far as to accuse Israel of genocide. And you even see massive pro-Palestinian protests in places like Japan, China, Russia, and Latin America, places you'd never expect. Social media has contributed to this in 2 ways. One, the whole world is able to see Israel's atrocities in HD video. And 2, instant translation allows the world to hear the genocidal statements coming from Israeli politicians themselves. In the past, a language barrier prevented people in Africa or South America or East Asia or even the West from understanding the Hebrew of Israel's policymakers. But now, their speeches are getting translated, and all that racism and hatred from Israel's top politicians is being instantly spread to the far corners of the globe.
Okay, so I have a lot to say about these things. By the way, so reason number 9 was the globe is united against Israelis, which is actually, for me, a reason why we need Israel. Right? This is Zionism confirmed, right? So yes,
Yeah.
I think like Israelis should be worried that the world is so united against them. That's why they had to make their own country. That's why we need Zionism, because there's so the double standard and the anti-Jewish standards and hatred is so global and it's so deep rooted that you cannot trust other people to be fair to Jews around the world. That's why the Jews decided, like exactly because of what Daniel Haqiqatjou just mentioned here, that's why Jews realized that the only way for them to survive is to have their own country, right? So thank you for Daniel Haqiqatjou for why we need Zionism. I appreciate that. And also the double standards is amazing. When they say that all around the world people are watching the war and saying how horrible it is, well, we have so many other wars around the world and it doesn't get this level of attention and this level of criticism, even though they have a much higher civilian to militant death ratio, even though Israel has managed to get a lower civilian to militant death ratio on a place where the enemies are using civilians as human shields, and in a place where the population density ranks number 2 in the world, the fact that Israel has still managed to get below the global average of civilian to militant death ratio shows that they're doing so much more than other countries to be able to reduce civilian casualties. And even so, all the other wars is not getting this level of hatred and criticism, and Israel's war on Gaza, it is. Even compared to where other Muslims are being attacked, or other Arabs are being attacked, this war is getting a lot more hatred and criticism because of the double standard, because they happen to be Jews, which again confirms why we need Zionism. Also, when it comes to the accusation of genocide, nobody has demonstrated that that accusation is valid. Again, without even any evidence, I could guess that given that any war has human rights violations within them, you are going to be able to, there is no evidence to show any genocidal intent in the war on Gaza, but given the sheer number of people involved, I can guess that you will be able to find soldiers or certain commanders that do have that intent. But again, for you to generalize that to the entire policy of Israel or IDF, again, is because of a significant anti-Jewish hatred and the bias that people have against Israel and the IDF. IDF and Israel's government have done more than any government or military in modern history to try to reduce civilians' death. And the fact that people don't see that is why we need Israel as a country. Go on, Roy.
Okay, so one of the obvious awful thing about wars is the fact that some soldiers are taking advantage of the situation, just as you said. So of course you will see, if there are 50,000 soldiers in Gaza and only 300 of them are taking advantage of it, you will have multiple accounts of atrocities, right, that are caused by them. But it happens in every war, and it's awful. What else I wanted to say here? He said that a lot of all countries around the world are saying that it is a genocide, and he showed a screenshot that says, "Please avoid a genocide." Even the screenshot that he put was not saying that it is a genocide, and all of the West countries didn't say, "Okay, now it's a genocide." They just asked for less casualties. That doesn't mean that they think it's a genocide. They might think that maybe you're not enough careful, right? You can even be careless. It's still not a genocide. If you attack Hamas and you're like careless, it's not a genocide. You're just being awful, right? But it's not a genocide. So that's the second point.
So what people don't understand about genocide is that it requires intent. It's not about the numbers. It's about the intention. You could kill one person and it could be genocidal. You could kill 100,000 people and it could be not genocidal. Not that it's better, that 100,000 is worse. Again, genocidal doesn't mean worse. Genocidal is a reference to the intention. Because if you kill one person with the intention of eventually like wiping out or destroying an entire population of people, that one person, that the death of that one person would be genocidal. But even if you end up killing 100,000 people without that intention, that would not be genocidal. So that's why the court required, again, what the international court so far has came to, again, this is going to be some investigation that will continue. And again, I'm pretty sure within every army, if you dig any military operations, if you dig deep, you are going to find examples of somebody, some people that have genocidal intent. Again, but right now, when it comes to trying to show the higher ups and the entire command of IDF has genocidal intent, that is, a lot of people are discovering, not something that you could just make up and go. And the International Criminal Court had what they did was just a reminder to Israel about something that Israel has already agreed upon. So that means they have not been able to show any form of genocide. It was just a reminder for Israel to respect its duties, and Israel has already done that and is continuing to do that anyways. By the way, I just want to confirm that we have been demonetized. Congratulations, everyone. Woo! We did it. We did it. and it's gone. And it's gone. We lost. But
okay,
again,
so now let's the super chat flow in, right? Super chat.
Yeah. Well, Troll just gave us a super chat. Thank you so much. I think this is mine. 50 Danish. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah, it's yours. Yeah, you read it then.
Okay, it's for me. Since Roy was not here when I first told this joke, what do you call a pork from a pig's? Nice. I can say it, right? Because we're demonetized. No, but we
go ahead. Say it. Say it. No, say it.
From a pig's ass, ham ass, right? Ham ass.
What do you call pork from a pig's ass? Okay, that's good.
Ham ass.
Good. Thank you.
Thank
you, Troel. Nice. Also, I said we can check if EL is a Jew, and EL is saying I can show you. I wonder what is that.
You could also be Muslim, right? It won't be enough.
I don't. Yeah. All right. Okay, let's continue.
I think you meant the yarmulke and you took it somewhere else.
Abraham Accord.
Yeah. Maybe, yeah. I'm just. I didn't say anything. I just showed you the comment.
Of the globe. Reason number 8 is the undermining of the Abraham Accords. The Abraham Accords, developed by the Trump administration in 2020 with cooperation from the UAE government, was a big win for Israel because it meant opening up economic ties with surrounding Arab countries without having to commit to Palestinian statehood. But the war and all the images and videos of Palestinians being slaughtered by Israel has enraged the Muslim world to unprecedented levels. The last thing Muslims in these Gulf countries want is normalization with Israel. This puts a lot of pressure on the Gulf governments. If they proceed with normalization, they risk losing whatever last bits of legitimacy they have in the eyes of their people, and this can lead to public unrest and even instability. Is that instability worth the marginal benefit that comes with full-on normalization with the Zionist state? Before moving...
Okay, so he's right about this. However, he shouldn't give this just as a reason why Israel should be worried. This is a reason why Israelis and Palestinians should be worried, not Israelis alone, right? Because the Abrahamic Accord is the best chance that we have had towards a two-state solution. Again, when I say these people are anti-Palestinian, is because of these reasons, right? The only entity, the only group that could actually put Israel really wants normalization with Arab countries. They really want that, and they're smart to want that, because again, United States is going to be less and less present within the Middle East, and Israel for its survival, it will require normalization of relationships with Arab countries. And these Arab countries, especially Saudi Arabia, is making one of its main conditions for normalization a two-state solution. And that is going to put a lot of pressure in the future governments of Israel to eventually give the Palestinians, like, allow a path towards a two-state solution. So this is the best hope that the Palestinians could have, this pressure for eventually getting their own country. This is what these people don't want Palestinians to have their own country. These people want Israel to just completely be eliminated off the map, right? Even if that would mean sacrificing every single Palestinian. So if you could give these people two options, Israel would be a country and Palestine would be a country, or Israel will get wiped off the map, and the cost of that would be the death of every single Palestinian. Which one do you think people like this will pick between these two options? They will pay whatever price necessary for wiping out Israel, even if that means spending the blood of Palestinians, right? So right now we're seeing this choice. The choice right now is, the pressure of Saudi Arabia and other Gulf Arab countries on Israel to eventually accept a two-state solution, or at least, providing a path for us to get there. Because right now there is no path. There is nobody on the other side for us to talk to have a two-state solution. Everybody on the other side is completely genocidal. So we have nothing, right? We have nothing. But Israel and Saudi Arabia maybe could eventually create that other alternative in the long term. I don't know, right? But there is no other way. The Abrahamic Accord will be the force that will get us there. So when he's celebrating the Abrahamic Accord falling apart, the main cause, this will make the Palestinians suffer more than Israelis. As bad as this is for Israelis, it's actually worse for the Palestinians. But they don't care. They don't care about Palestinians. They only care about Israeli suffering, no matter how many Palestinians have to suffer because of it. But go on, Roy.
Yeah, you actually said all of my points, except one that I still don't think that they actually care. The minute the war ends, I'm pretty sure that the accord will continue. The normalization will continue. I'm pretty sure.
Yes, I mean, it's surprising because Saudi Arabia didn't take a long time to come out and say we're going to continue with the Abrahamic Accord. They actually did it sooner than even I anticipated. It shows that they're very committed to the Abrahamic Accord. However, it is going to slow it down because Saudi Arabia and other Gulf Arab countries do want normalization with Israel against the wishes of their civilians, right? And the Saudi citizens and all these other citizens, they are more conservative than their governments there. And the Saudi government is afraid of an Islamic uprising at some point, having an Islamic revolution, kind of like what happened in Iran against the monarchy in 1979. So the speed of how close they're getting to Israel is a red line for a lot of their citizens, and it will increase the risk of an Islamic uprising. So they do take that into their calculation, and they are concerned about that. So it will, even if it comes back, it is going to delay the process, which again means more Palestinians suffering, right? Nobody is going to be able to speak for the Palestinians better, unfortunately, as much as I hate to say this, because I hate Mohammed bin Salman, but right now the people who are speaking act like they are speaking on behalf of Palestinians is mostly the Islamic Republic of Iran, who doesn't care about the Palestinians, who is using the Palestinians' suffering to spread their ideology and their power in the region. As much as I hate the Saudi government, the Saudis speaking on behalf of Palestinians, as much as the Palestinians hate the Saudi government, they are going to be a much better representative for the well-being of the Palestinians. So I hope it switches from Iran to Saudi Arabia, as much as I don't want to congratulate Mohammed bin Salman for anything. But anyways, let's continue with the next. Oh, we actually got a super chat, which guys, the super chats really do help, because as I showed you, we have been demonetized. Again, it's really hard for us to fight against all this nonsense given the level of demonetization, because what we do takes time and a lot of editing and a lot of like cover design and research and everything. So thank you so much for doing for the super chats. And again, if you're not doing super chats, at least like the stream, because I think we're doing effective work here. So the Comely Bengali with a super chat, £5 super chat, saying Armin Navabi, has Daniel accepted your offer to his debate challenge about Zionism? Sorry, this is the only super chat I could give. No, that's okay. That's great. Thank you so much, Comely Bengali. Yeah, that's great. Well, no, he said that he made fun of our subscriber numbers, and that was the reason why he denied debate with me. He said like, oh, you guys are pathetically small and weak, you have low subscribers, and that's the reason why he didn't on Twitter said that he's not going to debate us, right? So yeah, because he has a lot more subscribers. Again, that's another reason why you guys should subscribe, because channels like Danny and Haqiqatjou, who are spreading misinformation, are a lot larger than channels like us who are fighting against misinformation. So please subscribe and hit the bell notification and tell other people to come and subscribe to our channel. All right, let's continue.
On with the top 10. Are you subscribed to Muslim Skeptic? Most of you watching right now are not actually subscribed. Why not?
Speaking
if
of,
you want more in-depth videos like this, just do us a favor.
Yeah, subscribe to us.
And subscribe to the channel. Reason number 7 Israel should be extremely worried is a recent YouGov poll showing that 36% of 18 to 29-year-olds believe that the Holocaust is exploited for political purposes. Along those lines, Raz Segal, Jewish professor of Holocaust studies at Stockton University, wrote an op-ed in The Guardian urging Benjamin Netanyahu and other Zionists to stop invoking the Holocaust in this war against Palestine. Many speculate that the increasing cynicism about the Holocaust is due to the outrageous violence Israel is committing in Gaza. To commit these atrocities and then defend them by invoking the Holocaust is not going over well with most people, and you lose your moral credibility. That's very bad news for Israel, because especially in the coming years, more people will be willing to speak out strongly against Israel and won't be deterred by being labeled Nazis. Reason number 6 Israel should be worried.
So what do you think about that? What do you think about that one?
Yeah, I personally half agree with him. Specifically, the image he showed with that our politician had the yellow star. He was heavily criticized in Israel. It was a very, very lame attempt at using the Holocaust. I think it really does happen every now and then that we use that.
Yeah, I mean, this is again the same. This is the same study. So look at the study that he mentioned. Where is it?
The Holocaust is due to the outrageous war against Palestine. Many speculate that the increasing cynicism about the Holocaust. Raz Segal, Jewish professor of Holocaust studies at Stockton, % of 18 to 29-year-olds believe.
So look, this is the exact same study, which I have now here. Hold on, visit here. This is the exact same study that shows that the idea that the Holocaust is a myth, look at this. Agree. Look, ages 18 to 20, like ages 65 plus is almost 0%. Ages 45 to 64 is 2%.
Wow,
Oh, actually, yes.
20%.
And ages 30 to 44 is 8%. And now look, ages 18 to 29, 20%. 20%. 1 in 5 young people believe that the Holocaust is a myth. I mean, why are you, Danny Haqiqatjou, why are you not citing this part of the study? Like, is this like, are you celebrating this? This is huge. Look at the jump.
Wow.
Like 8%, 30 to 44, and then 20% in the young generation. This is what TikTok is giving you. This is the study. No, selective show of statistics, by the way, Danny Haqiqatjou. This is why I don't trust Danny Haqiqatjou when he shows us studies, okay? Because he only shows us half of the study, right?
Yeah.
Again, this is what you're celebrating? Yeah.
I wanted to mention another thing. When the students of all the Ivy League universities, like a lot of clubs, were against Israel, right? But the moment they had to take accountability, well, like when firms say they wouldn't hire someone from Harvard and stuff like that, the moment they had to take accountability, they all resented, right? They all said, no, we didn't know what we were signing. So, you know, it's just a trend. That's how you see it. It's just a trend. People love saying that because it's cool. They don't really know what they're talking about. They just follow Twitter and TikTok. That's what's going on.
By the way, guys, this is why again, this is an academic study, okay? So this is not like us just guessing whether something is misinformation is anything. This is why we need channels like us, okay? Because the spread of misinformation. By the way, I noticed even a worse number. So the people who are willing to say disagree, so when I say the Holocaust is a myth, they're willing to say that they disagree with that. It's only 51%. So only half of young people are willing to say that the Holocaust is not a myth. This is only like 51% only agree that that the Holocaust really unbelievable. Disagree. So the rest is neither. Okay, so we have 30% saying neither agree or disagree. So only half of young Americans. This is a horrible future. Again, I don't know if these kids or these young people are going to change their mind when they grow up. I hope a lot of them grow up. But again, I don't think this 50% is going to change, that much. Maybe even if half of them change and half of them keep their opinion, that's going to really change how United States votes. And this is dangerous for the planet because, again, these are the people who decide how the world's largest military operates, right? And this is why you need to support channels like ours who are fighting this level of misinformation. Yeah. All right, let's continue.
Is exploited for political purposes. Along those lines, Raz Segal, Jewish professor of Holocaust studies at Stockton University, wrote an op-ed in The Guardian urging Benjamin Netanyahu and other Zionists to stop invoking the Holocaust in this war against Palestine. Many speculate that the increasing cynicism about the Holocaust is due to the outrageous violence Israel is committing in Gaza. To commit these atrocities and then defend them.
What has it got to do with the Holocaust? Like, I don't understand. Even, let's say Israel was committing a genocide in Gaza, right? Why would you undermine the Holocaust, how important the Holocaust was? Maybe even if you're against, even if you think Israel is committing a genocide in Gaza, wouldn't you just you mention to remind the Holocaust and how bad that is as a way to criticize Israel? To me, the fact that you're trying to undermine how important the Holocaust was just shows that you guys are anti-Semitic, because you wouldn't dismiss it. You would mention it even more. You would mention, how horrible the Holocaust was. Like, you guys shouldn't do this because, remember the Holocaust, how horrible it was? So please stop doing a genocide. So to me, it shows that the deep, the root of all this is Jews cannot be the victim, period.
by invoking the Holocaust is not going over well with most people, and you lose your moral credibility. That's very bad news for Israel because, especially in the coming years, more people will be willing to speak out strongly against Israel and won't be deterred by being labeled Nazis. Reason number 6 Israel should be worried is Zionists are overplaying their hand. In the past few months, we have all had a front row seat in watching how the Israeli lobby leverages its power to stifle even the tiniest critique of Israel's atrocities. It's reached cartoonish levels at this point. Even people who are generally pro-Israel have been slammed for not being pro-Israel enough. A good example came from the Ivy League. As soon as October 7th happened, all the Ivy League universities announced that they were taking a stand against so-called anti-Semitism on campus. As a Harvard graduate, even I got an email from the Harvard president, Claudine Gay, that Harvard was launching an anti-Semitism advisory group. I thought to myself, why does anti-Semitism get its own advisory group at Harvard? Why not an Islamophobia advisory group, or an anti-Christian hate advisory group, or an anti-Chinese or an anti-black advisory group? Seems pretty biased. But the crazy thing was, Zionists were not even satisfied with this. Claudine Gay and other university presidents were questioned in a congressional hearing about how they would punish students who protested Israel. Gay responded that her priority was to protect Jewish students, but also allow free speech. Zionists found this unacceptable. There could be no free speech on university campuses if free speech means openly criticizing Israel's actions in Gaza. So they pressured Harvard, and they pressured until Claudine Gay had to resign. To anyone who's not a Zionist, this is all outrageous. In universities, students can protest any country in the world and face no disciplinary action. In fact, in some universities, you're encouraged to protest against even the United States. But don't you dare raise a peep against Israel. Otherwise, your student group will get suspended and you might even get expelled. So why should Israel be worried about this? In politics, subtlety is a virtue. The most powerful hand is the invisible hand. But the Israel lobby has been doing the exact opposite. Their heavy-handed approach to silencing opposition in politics and the media and on university campuses has only created mass resentment. People don't like the idea of lobbies as it undermines the ideal of democracy. So when they clearly see the work of a powerful foreign lobby manipulating their governments and universities, this breeds nothing but anger and outrage. Anger and outrage that is directed towards the Zionist state. But the alarming thing is that the Israeli lobby reacts to this increased anger and outrage by increasing censorship, which in turn increases anger and outrage. This is a vicious cycle that is simply not sustainable.
Okay, so let me actually remember how he described what happened at Harvard. Let me bring it to the beginning of where he started describing it. Yes,
pressured until Claudine Gay had to.
Okay, let's actually, I want to make sure, I want to play the video and of what actually happened. And you guys listen to Daniel Haqiqatjou's description of it again and tell me how honest Daniel is being about what actually was the problem.
There would be no free speech on university.
Okay, look at this. Look at this. All right, so let me bring this up. So guys, this is what actually happened. And then we will listen to Daniel Haqiqatjou's description of it again and just see how freaking dishonest this man is and how one-sided and lies by omission. Hold on.
And Dr. Gay, at Harvard, does calling for the genocide of Jews violate Harvard's rules of bullying and harassment? Yes or no?
It can be, depending on the context.
Okay, I'm going to play the rest of this video, but just pay attention to this first part, okay? At Harvard, the question was, again, let's listen to the question.
And Dr. Gay, at Harvard, does calling for the genocide of Jews violate Harvard's rules of bullying and harassment? Yes.
Do they? I mean, this is a pretty easy question to answer, right? Does calling for genocide of the Jews, okay, is that against the rules of Harvard when it comes to bullying and harassment, okay?
Harassment, not against the rules of killing, for harassment and bullying.
Harassment. And she says, depends on the freaking context, which means that there are situations, there are some contexts that you could ask for the genocide of Jews in Harvard, and there is a context that would not violate Harvard's rules. That is what she's saying. So listen to this again. I will listen to the whole clip.
She's going to explain
And Dr.
what the
Gay,
context is.
at Harvard, does calling for the genocide of Jews violate Harvard's rules of bullying and harassment? Yes or no?
It can be, depending on the context.
What's the context?
Targeted as an individual, targeted at an individual.
It's
Severe,
targeted at
pervasive.
Jewish students.
Okay, what do you mean targeted as an individual? If you come on Harvard and say like, oh, we should kill, again, I shouldn't say all, we should commit genocide on all Jewish people. If you don't specifically like, hey, yeah, we should do that to everybody. If you don't say it to a specific student, but if you call for the death of all Jewish people on campus, that does not violate Harvard rules? Are you freaking serious? Are you insane? What the hell are you talking about?
Targeted at an individual.
It's
Severe,
targeted at
pervasive.
Jewish students, Jewish individuals. Do you understand your testimony is dehumanizing them? Do you understand that dehumanization is part of anti-Semitism? I will ask you one more time. Does calling for the genocide of Jews violate Harvard's rules of bullying and harassment? Yes or no?
Anti-Semitic rhetoric. When
And is it
crosses into
anti-Semitic rhetoric?
Anti-Semitic
Just say yes, lady. Just say yes. Just say yes.
She's going to say something important now.
rhetoric when
Okay.
it crosses
Listen.
into conduct that amounts to bullying, harassment,
Conduct.
intimidation. That is actionable conduct, and we do take action.
Oh, so maybe you should do the genocide for Harvard to get
That's the
involved, okay?
conduct.
So yeah, so you actually have to do it. Like if you call for genocide, Harvard is not going to punish you. But if you cross into actually committing maybe like genocide, then Harvard like, oh, okay, now you have violated the rules.
So the answer is yes, that calling for the genocide of Jews violates Harvard Code of Conduct, correct?
Again, it depends on the context.
It does not depend on.
It does not depend. Oh my God, this is the easiest question in the world to answer. Calling for genocide of Jews, just say yes, lady. Just say yes. It violates our rules. How the hell can you get that wrong? Maybe like, how about this? How about like, what if I misgender a Jew? Okay, would that violate? Would I? No. What if I would that violate your rules? Oh my God.
That's already a conduct. You already hurt him
yeah.
right now.
Context.
It does not depend on the context. The answer is yes, and this is why you should resign. These are unacceptable answers across the board.
Oh my
Like
God.
they all-
Okay.
it's
And
like they all had the same lawyer. All three of them, all the three presidents of the universities has the one same lawyer.
listen to now, based on what just happened, listen to how Daniel Haqiqatjou is describing what happened. Okay.
Jewish students, but all
Yeah.
or an anti-Chinese or an anti-Black advisory group. Seems pretty biased. But the crazy thing was, Zionists were not even satisfied with this. Claudine Gay and other university presidents were questioned in a congressional hearing about how they would punish students who protested Israel.
Students punish students who protested Israel. Yeah, that's what the question was. You liar! You freaking liar, Daniel! You lie. I just showed how you lie. I just showed, guys. Even if you're a Daniel Haqiqatjou fan, didn't you just see how I caught him in a lie?
Gay responded that her priority was to protect Jewish students, but also allow free speech. Zionists found this unacceptable. There could be no free speech on university campuses if free speech means openly criticizing Israel's actions.
Oh yeah, that was the issue. The issue was like, oh, you cannot criticize Israel. That was the issue. You liar! Oh my! Like, why don't you show the video then, Daniel?
Gaza. So they pressured.
Yeah, the issue was like, okay, lady, are people allowed to criticize Israel on campus? And she's like, yes, they're allowed. I'm like, no, they should not be allowed. Like, oh no, this is free speech. We allow people to criticize Israel. Like, oh, you should be fired. You allow people to criticize Israel on campus? Fired. The answer is no. You are not allowed to criticize. That was what happened. Sure, Daniel.
Harvard, and they pressured until Claudine Gay had to resign. To anyone who's not a Zionist, this is all outrageous. In universities, students can protest any country in the world and face no disciplinary action.
Oh, okay, yeah. Are they allowed to ask for genocide, Daniel, in any university? Are students allowed to go ask for the genocide? What if they ask for genocide of Arabs? Do you think any university in the United States will let you stay a student if you ask for genocide of Muslims or black people or Arabs? Why do you want a special rule for just being able to ask for genocides of Jewish people? Huh? Why should that be allowed if you can't ask for genocide of any other group of people? Okay. So the double standard is on the other way around, Daniel, not the way you're acting like it is. Yeah. Anyways, let's go to the next claim. I think it was started at 7:16.
Yeah, I don't think we were going to get it on time. The whole thing.
Okay.
Anger and outrage. This is a vicious cycle that is simply not sustainable. Reason number 5 Israel should be worried is the open public discussion about Judaism. For decades, public criticism of religion focused on only 2 religions, Islam and Christianity. The leading new atheists, like Sam Harris and Richard Dawkins, focused all their anti-God diatribes mostly on Islam, about how barbaric Islam is and how barbaric and backwards Muslims are. But these new atheists had literally nothing to say about Judaism, which is convenient given that many of these new atheists come from Jewish families or are funded by Zionists. But ever since October 7th, Judaism as a religion has been on trial and is being critiqued in an analogous way to how Islam has been critiqued in the West. What has sparked this new debate on Judaism is Israeli politicians like Netanyahu, who call the Palestinians Amalek. Many people on social media have been asking, what is Amalek and why are the Israelis calling Palestinians Amalek? This opens up a conversation about traditional Jewish laws which actually sanction genocide and even command the killing of children. This is what you will find in the Torah and in other Jewish texts. You have Israeli rabbis, you even have military officials as well as politicians who represent the religious segments of Israeli society, literally calling Palestinians subhuman animals. So many in the West are wondering, well, what does Judaism teach about non-Jews? This has opened up a conversation about traditional Jewish laws, which religiously justified apartheid policies and extreme racism. Passages of the Talmud are going viral. Video clips of traditional rabbis advocating absolutely shocking teachings of Judaism are going viral. Way too many people are Googling Metzitza B'Pah. Please, whatever you do not Google Metzitza B'Pah. The upshot is, since October 7th, once obscure facts about Jewish religion are now constantly being discussed on social media, and that is really bad news for Zionism. Reason number...
All right, really quickly, I'm going to go through all of this so we can finish this video sooner. All right, first of all, Sam Harris and other new atheists have criticized stuff from the Old Testament and the Torah and Jewish scripture a lot. So nonsense. It's like they say literally nothing. Bull crap. They say they have said. I have seen videos of them. I have read their books. They have criticized scripture from Jewish scripture a lot. So bull crap. Okay. And also, yes, the Talmud and the Torah is filled with nonsense, just like the Quran and the Hadith are, right? Correct. So the reason why we atheists talk about Islam more, first of all, is because there's a lot more Muslims, and Muslims on average take Islam a lot more seriously, and Islam is a much more political ideology that influences politics and other people's way of life than Judaism. So even though we do criticize Judaism, it makes more sense to talk about Islam than Judaism because of the impact that it has on the world, right? And also Jews on average are a lot more secular than Muslims, and Arabs are, so on average, like even when you talk about Jews, Jews take their religion, even the Jews who do take their religion seriously, most of them take the rituals of their religions seriously rather than taking the commands of their religion very seriously. And the ultra-Orthodox Jewish people that take also the commands of their religion very seriously are ostracized and not seen as good by many other Jewish people. They're seen as problematic part of society. And also that comment that you mentioned about that person, the defense minister calling Palestinians animals. He was calling Hamas militants animals. He wasn't calling Palestinians animals. And also the IDF does not follow religious scripture when it comes to the way it conducts its military operations, not at all. Finding some people who mention some religious scripture, that does not mean, like, if you actually go look at the policies and the methodologies of how the IDF conducts its activities and policies, it's based on liberal standards of modern countries, of modern liberal countries, rather than anything that is religious, right? I'm sure you're going to find like a soldier here or there who is motivated by scripture, but again, the overall general policy of IDF is not a reflection of religious ideology. But Roy, go ahead.
Just a small addition. Judaism does not want people to join it, right? We don't have apologetics. We don't want other people to come and be Jews. So why would anyone talk about us? United States has nothing to worry about it become Jewish, like a Jewish religious state. So why would they even bother with it?
Oh, yeah, and I have another list for you to read. By the way, I forgot to read this super chat. Sorry, Rudra. I hope he's still here. Rudra is saying Israel hushes and slightest criticism ? Didn't know Norm Finkelstein to be mute ever, utter nonsense. You're right. Actually, that's a good point, Rudra. Israel actually is a country that celebrates criticism. A lot of the things that we criticize Israel governments for, are stuff that the Israeli media had figured out. There's no hushing in Israel. Israel has a very rich media that is self-critical of Israeli policies. So they don't hush criticism. In fact, they are one of the most self-critical countries on the planet. So maybe some Islamic countries could learn from that. Also, when it comes to how the IDF conducts, you're acting like because of the Jewish scripture, they're genocidal. Actually, if you go look at the sources, I'm just reading right now, the IDF has implemented measures to minimize civilian casualties during operations in Gaza. These measures include providing warnings and evacuating urban areas before attacks, a practice highlighted as unprecedented in urban warfare. According to expert analysis, the IDF provided days and
thou should drop notes.
You don't see that anywhere in scripture. This is actually more advanced than other liberal countries, right? According to expert analysis, the IDF provided days and weeks of warnings, employed calling and texting ahead of airstrikes, and used roof knocking. What is this? Munitions to alert buildings occupants to evacuate before a strike. This approach contrasts with other military operations worldwide, where urban areas were not given such extensive warnings before attacks. Further efforts to protect civilians have been detailed, such as dropping leaflets in Gaza with map and QR codes to help civilians move away from areas of conflict. These leaflets aimed to provide precise instructions for residents to avoid areas where Hamas centers of gravity were located, thus reducing the risk to civilian populations. The IDF also took a pause in fighting to refine operational procedures and improve precision in their operations, indicating a strategic effort to minimize harm to civilians while combating Hamas, right? So again, and also remember the civilian to militant ratio that is happening in Gaza is lower than the global average, which is unbelievable for such a place that is so with such high population density. And given that Hamas uses human shields, being able to achieve lower than global average civilian to militant death ratio is like a miracle, right? So again, if they're trying to if the IDF is trying to commit a genocide, they really suck at doing genocide. They're the poorest genocide conductors in the history of genocide. Anyways, let's go to number 4.
Number 4, boycotts have been overwhelmingly successful. In the early days of the war, McDonald's, Starbucks, and Coca-Cola offered support to the Israeli military. Immediately, they became targets of international boycotts that have caused the companies billions of dollars in losses. The boycotts have been so painful that these brands have been forced to make statements distancing themselves from Israel. Ultimately, the success of these boycotts should make Israel extremely worried, because in the future, major brands will be far more hesitant to even associate with Israel, let alone to publicly endorse Israeli policy. Also, the enemies of Israel around the world have been emboldened to launch more targeted boycotts in the future to punish corporations that side with Israel. Reason number 3, Israel.
Right. So these boycotts are hurting Palestinians more than Israel. They're also hurting a lot of Muslims and Arab who live in Israel, and they don't seem to care about which organizations are even involved in war or not, as long as they're Israeli. They're also boycotting organizations that are actively taking part in trying to reduce the misery in Gaza, even organizations and companies that provide work visas to Palestinians to come to work in Israel. There are a lot of people in West Bank and in Gaza that work with these companies, and boycotting them is harming the people in Palestine as well. But given that as long as you're Israeli, you're boycotting them, shows that Israel, there's literally nothing that Israel or these companies could do for these people not to boycott them, which basically completely destroys the whole point of boycott. As long as you're Israeli, we're against you no matter what you do. So it's not going to basically motivate any form of action, given that, you know, basically as an Israeli, we're against you as long as you exist. The only thing that will make us happy is for you not to exist. This is what these boycotts are signaling. Roy?
Just to note that the McDonald's in Israel actually continue to support the military all the way until today. Until today, you can come to any McDonald's and you will get, I mean, something like half a price or something like that if you are on uniform. Yeah.
All right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
But just to say that
also,
people are just in love with thinking that they are doing something without checking what they're doing. So that they're in love with looking at themselves boycotting. That's it.
Right. And also remember that there was a global push for boycotting Zara for having a crack in the wall that looked like Palestine, and they thought that they're making fun of Palestine, right? So even though that video shoot, yeah, it looked more like Argentina, I think, than any other country. And it also, and also it was shot before October 7th, so it had nothing to do with making fun of the plight of Palestinians. It was literally a crack in the wall. So just remember that Zara was boycotted for just a crack in the wall. Like we're not making this up. So given that you boycott companies for cracks in walls, and Starbucks, we looked at why they boycott Zara. It was literally just one employee that said something at some point. So it's basically, there's nothing you could do to avoid these boycotts. So that's why it's not going to come. There's no positive. You're not promoting any positive behavior because you guys are just insane. Anyways, number 3.
Should be really nervous is the Red Sea blockade. Who would have thought that one of the poorest countries in the world could strike such a heavy blow to the US-Israeli empire? Shipping to Israel's Red Sea port is down 85%, and if you see pictures of the port, it's like a ghost town. Now, is Israel going to man up and face the Yemenis? Of course not. Instead, like a petulant child, Israel is demanding that Big Daddy United States stop the Yemenis. The bad news for Israel is the US already tried aerial bombing in Yemen, but that only made the Yemenis more mad and more determined to target Israeli ships and now US ships as well. The US Navy has sent ships to provide protection, but they failed to actually stop the Yemeni harassment. So shipping companies are just not interested in risking their ships and their cargo and are choosing to avoid the Red Sea altogether. The military consensus is that the only way the US can really stop the Yemenis is with an all-out war, a ground invasion. But another war in the Middle East is literally the last thing the US needs right now, and even if they tried it, it would most likely end in US failure. The situation has become so desperate that the US is getting on its hands and knees to beg China to pressure Iran, to pressure the Houthis to stop the blockade. And what's funny is China's like, nah. This is what happens when you're Israel's lapdog. You will be humiliated on the international stage. But the economic woes for Israel aren't limited to the Red Sea blockade. According to the Bank of Israel, Israel is losing $600 million a week due to work absences alone. This is equal to about 6% of the weekly GDP of the entire country. And according to RAND, Israel is projected to lose $400 billion in economic activity over the next 10 years due to this war. That's a lot of shekels. And keep in mind, these are the estimates coming from Zionist institutions. The reality is probably far, far worse. Reason number.
All right. So first of all, when he said like China is telling the US, nah, actually that's a lie, Daniel. They are actually doing that, not because the US is telling them, because China is hurting even more. You moron, you idiot. China is suffering even more because of what the Houthis are doing. You don't even need the United States to call ask China. China is trying to pressure Iran to get the Houthis off the back of all the ships in the Red Sea. Because guess what? Because the United States has its own oil. United States has more oil than it needs, okay? But China gets its oil from the Middle East, you moron. This is making China suffer even more than the United States. So obviously China, United States is not on its hands and knees to China to try to stop the Houthis attacking ships in the Red Sea. It's the other way around. China is on its hands and knees begging the United States to try to stop the Houthis because they're suffering. You idiot. It's the other way around, you freaking moron. And also, you know who else? You know what? Here's the thing. I agree with Daniel. Israel should be worried about Houthis attacking the ships. But you know the part that is missing? The part that is missing is that every freaking country should be worried about this. And mostly Islamic countries. Do you know who this is hurting the most? Egypt. Egypt is being hurt the most. Egypt is suffering because of the Houthis. Price of foods and earnings are horrible right now in Egypt because of the Houthis. It's your Muslim brothers and sisters that are suffering because of the Houthis' attacks on the ship. They're causing more trouble. They're causing more economic hardships for Muslims than Israelis. You freaking morons, you idiots. What did you think is going to happen? Poor people are suffering around the world because Houthis are attacking the ships. The price of food has gone up. Who do you think suffers the most when the price of food goes up? It's poor people. You're hurting poor people, including Muslims. Like Egypt is the #1 country right now. More than any country, Egypt is suffering from the attacks on the ships in the Red Sea. And it's not just one article that is saying this. There are many articles that are saying this. Look at this one. Egypt, all over. It's Egypt. Egypt is suffering. Anyways.
Also, I'm pretty sure that the United States asked Israel not to join the attack. I remember something like that.
What?
I remember that the United States asked Israel not to join the attack that they and the UK did together. Yeah.
Yes.
Israel wanted to do.
I mean, they're on the wrong sea. Okay, most of the trade that Israel does is on the Mediterranean Sea. When you attack ships on this sea, you're attacking mostly the wrong ships. You freaking moron. These are civilian ships that you're attacking that is disrupting global trade. The whole world is like, oh, Israel should be worried. Unlike the rest of the freaking planet, you moron. Everybody should be worried. You guys are promoting something that is promoting suffering for everyone on the planet. Congratulations. And you think you're promoting good when you're hurting poor people? You're taking the side of evil. You're just taking the side of terrorists. You're celebrating Houthi terrorists.
Listen, our ports are not empty, and you can see here Noah is saying that her packages from AliExpress are still coming. My packages are still coming. We're all fine.
Yeah. The thing is about Amazon packages. These people don't understand anything. Anyways, let's go to number 2.
Should be extremely nervous right now is that Israel is losing militarily in Gaza. After nearly 4 months of fighting, they have met none of their stated objectives in this war. They haven't even gotten close. And despite all the cringe TikTok videos of IDF soldiers dancing or gyrating or whatever that is, The reality is the IDF is suffering from unprecedented mental health problems and simply can't cope with the stresses of war. The Israeli media sources have been putting out video and images to give the impression that the IDF has control of northern Gaza, but the reality is far different. Independent international sources and GoPro footage directly from the front lines show that the Palestinian fighters are waging guerrilla warfare in these areas, utilizing a vast tunnel network that Israel has failed to infiltrate. What Israel doesn't seem to realize is they can't win this war through carpet bombing. This is a lesson that the US has learned time and time again, whether in Vietnam, in Iraq, or in Afghanistan. All that carpet bombing does is kill large numbers of innocent civilians, which turns public sentiment against you, both domestically and internationally. Consider the Iraq War. Bush launched the 2003 invasion of Iraq with a shock and awe bombing campaign. Shortly thereafter, he hilariously announced mission accomplished. But a long, protracted, and costly war was just getting started, a war that was deeply unpopular with the American people and the international community. The only way for Israel to wage a protracted war against Palestine is if it continues to get massive amounts of cash from the US. But already we're seeing cracks in the US's ability to keep writing blank checks for the Israeli war machine. Sooner or later, the funds will run dry, which takes us to the number one reason, and the number one reason Israel should be soiling.
So what do you think about what he said?
First, I want to remind everyone what less money to Israel would make Israel do, right? Less money means less precise weapons, right? Less advanced weapons. I'm not sure if Israel will stop the war. I think it will just use what they have, what we have, right? We'll use more guns, more cannons, and more primitive things that will make more casualties. So I'm not sure it's a good thing that Israel is going, if Israel will run out of money.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. Actually, that's a very good point, because this is worse for, as bad as this could be for Israel, this is worse for Palestinians, right? If Israel has less means to defend itself, there means that there's going to be more retaliatory attacks against, Palestinians for every Israeli that is killed. Again, these people don't care about Palestinians, but we do, so they don't understand that what's saving Palestinians is United States support for Israel, is saving Palestinians, right?
Imagine if we ran out of
yeah,
Iron Dome. Imagine what would happen to Gaza if Israel ran out of Iron Dome.
Yeah. Again, so I agree that Israel should be worried about this, but the problem is that we worry for Israel and we worry for Palestine as well. But this guy only cares about Israeli suffering increasing, even if the cause of that is Palestinian suffering increasing.
Yeah, we talked about it a lot. They don't care. The Palestinians are winning. They are winning. They are heroes and they are winning. Right?
Yes. Because, yeah. And also the number of Hamas, again, so whether Israel is winning in Gaza or not, I agree that they're not achieving the things that they were trying to achieve, but they are, relative to how Hamas is doing, they're doing better. Like Hamas, if Israel is not achieving its goals, Hamas is being losing a lot more than Israel is. So I don't know why you're looking at this from one side. Again, I don't trust, as much as based on my metrics, Israel is not achieving a lot of its goals, because I think it was, the goals that Netanyahu stated at the beginning of the war should not have been stated. That's why it's easy to be able to show that they're not winning. But I don't trust Daniel as a source of information for how Israel is doing in Gaza, because if you go look at the recent live stream that we did 2 weeks ago, it's called "Muslim Makes the Dumbest Mistake While Trying to Attack Israel." If you go look at the way he actually looks at data and he analyzed them, he's such an idiot, because he was reading an article and we could see the article that he was reading from, that it was talking about the number of Hamas soldiers that were killed in the war, and he thought, he was celebrating that because he could not read and he didn't understand that was actually the number of, he thought that was the number of IDF soldiers that were being killed. And it was really clear, the text that he was reading, that was referring to Hamas militants being dying. And he was like, oh my God, look at the number, it's 3,000. And he was so happy about it.
Right? He corrected himself right after.
No, he never hit the video. And the video is still up. He has still not taken down that video. He has still, everybody is pointing out to him that you're an idiot. That is the Hamas militants dying, not the IDF. And the video is still up. The video is still,
And
never
by the way,
came
the
out of
military, the Israeli military did infiltrate a lot of tunnels, a lot of huge and a lot of kilometers of tunnels. That's the slide that we didn't.
Right. Okay, let's go to number one.
Right now is
Okay, number one, reason number one.
the end of U.S. hegemony. Big Daddy is no longer going to be around to bail out baby Israel. The only reason Israel can get away with being this belligerent state that can flout all international norms whenever it pleases is because the U.S. is there to provide cover. But those days are quickly coming to an end. Whether it's in Afghanistan or the Ukraine, the U.S. has suffered major geostrategic losses in the past 3 years, and the situation is only getting worse. No longer can the U.S. impose its will on the world through brute force. This is due to a combination of factors like worsening economic conditions for the U.S. domestically and the rise of Russia and China as competing superpowers. Israel has put all of its eggs in Uncle Sam's basket, and that means the fall of the U.S. empire spells the downfall of the Zionist entity, inshallah. I hope you've enjoyed this time.
All right, so first of all, that is wrong. Every analysis shows that all the predictions for the U.S. empire to be falling has been incorrect. The trend seems to be the other way around. It seems like the U.S. is becoming more of a global power, and China is not going to be able to take its place. In fact, the divide between the United States as a global power and the rest of the world is increasing. Based on, a lot of people predicted that it's going to reverse, but it's not. It's actually becoming a bigger gap. And the reason why, but I agree that Israel should be worried, not because the United States is becoming weaker, but actually because some people are, again, I don't know how accurate this prediction is, but a lot of experts are thinking the United States is becoming too powerful, so powerful that it's going to be less reliant on other countries, and especially the Middle East. So if Israel is going to have to be worried about lack of U.S. support for two reasons, not because the United States will not be able to afford supporting Israel, but because the United States will not need to support Israel or want to support Israel as much as before, because it's becoming too powerful to care as much. Again, it will always care, but relatively, I'm talking. And also because the demographics of United States are changing and people are voting, and it might be voting in a different way. But it's not because the United States is going to lose its dominance over the world. United States is more concerned with the Pacific, with China and Taiwan. And even there, at some point, it might be able to not care that much about Taiwan if it's able to build the chips that are being built in Taiwan back in the United States. There's a lot of push for being able to eventually make those chips in the United States as well. And also given that the oil the United States have, and also alternative form of energy. So even if United States cares right now about the oil in the Middle East, it's mostly because of its allies need that oil, especially as Western European allies need that oil, gas and oil, not because the United States needs it. But again, Europe is also fast moving towards a place where alternative form of energies are going to replace fossil fuels more and more, and Middle East is going to lose its importance. That's the reason why Israel needs to be worried about losing the support of United States. But again, it shouldn't be just Israel that is worried about that. It should be mainly Palestinians. More Palestinians should be more, because again, if Israel cannot defend itself like it does right now, it's going to be a lot of suffering for Palestinians. Way more Palestinians are going to die and suffer because of it. And also, when it comes to allies, yes, Israel is. That's why Israel is trying to get more allies other than the United States. Is actively trying to get more allies, not just the United States. Normalize its relationship with its neighbor. But when it comes to having allies, I think Palestinians should be complaining a lot more than Israel, because Palestinians either don't have allies, or the allies that they act like their allies are actually wanting their death and misery for other agenda, and are constantly encouraging them to fight endless, hopeless wars that don't have any victories in sight, which is just basically increasing their suffering. So again, Palestine, Israel might be losing more support from its allies, but Palestine has allies with friends like Palestinians. You don't need enemies. And the only way that, again, the Abrahamic Accord would be able to get Israel and Palestine better allies, right? Israel, the thing that Daniel is trying to dismiss as celebrating the Abrahamic Accords going away, which is not going to go away, it probably is going to come back. But even if it does, that would mean that Israel gets less allies. There's going to be more war in the Middle East, which is more Palestinian suffering. But also through the Abrahamic Accords, the Palestinian state would get better allies that it does not have right now. The allies of Palestinians right now, which includes the Islamic Republic of Iran, are not fighting for a Palestinian state. By the way, just recently, the Islamic Republic of Iran and the United Nations voted for a two-state solution, which tells you how things are changing, maybe in favor of Israel, but that's a topic for another video. But go on, Roy.
Yeah, you talked a lot. You took all of my points. It's not fair. I just wanted to remind everyone what will happen if Israel will be desperate, right? It's a very bad thing that will happen because Jews don't have anywhere to go, right? Most of the Jews don't have anywhere to go, and if Israel will be desperate, it will be bad for everyone, for Israel also.
Yeah,
we don't want that.
Yes,
no one wants that.
Yes. We don't want suffering of Israelis or the Palestinians. They happen to wish for both. Yeah. Again, choose your side, right? Anyways, guys, we went over time. I tried to keep this under 1 hour, but it was my fault. I couldn't stop talking. Sorry about that. But I'm not sorry. But like this stream. Make sure you like the stream because, as I mentioned, we have been demonetized. And guys, when we get demonetized, it's not just the demonetization. We also get deprioritized. That means, like on Facebook algorithm, we get recommended less often. Which recommendations on Facebook, on YouTube's algorithm, we get recommended less often. And the recommendation is the main way for a channel to grow. So if you like the stream, that will make YouTube show us to more people, which is the main way to grow. So please go ahead and like the stream right now. And if you want to help even more after the stream is over, leave a comment under the show. That really, really helps. And if you want to even help even more, other than making sure that you're subscribed and have hit the bell notification, go tell people, go tell your friends, go tell your enemies, go tell your grandma, go tell your classmates that you haven't spoken to for the past 15 years. Go find them and just the first thing you say, like, hey, subscribe to this channel. Everybody you can think of, send them the link to our channel and ask them. No, do not ask. Demand that they subscribe to this channel. Go ahead and do that. That will help us grow this channel. Like, you tell them, like, you must. Oh, who is this guy? Roy just gave us 6 shekels. So, like, Roy is giving us super chat so that we could afford Roy. Well, thank you, Roy.
Maybe for the overtime.
Yes, for the overtime. I'm sorry. Yes, I'm sorry. All right, I'm gonna go so that we don't have to pay Roy overtime. All right, guys. Thank you so much. See you on the next stream. Bye.
Bye.